Did you ever struggle with timing and rhythm when it comes to your guitar playing? That is the very important topic and question we're looking into today, and I think we all know the feeling and the common frustrations when it comes to this topic. It's incredibly frustrating to get everything about your guitar solo right. You play all the right notes, you pretty much nailed everything when it comes to technique, your string bending, vibrato and expression of the take was perfect, but the timing is very inconsistent, so none of that matters and you have to delete the take. In case this short horror story sounds familiar to you, I have something that will really help you with that today. We will check out an amazing exercise and practice concept that will greatly improve your timing when it comes to guitar solos and improvised takes. And after watching today's video until the end, you can incorporate this really powerful and very helpful practice concept in your daily routine to take your timing and rhythm to the next level. So let's not waste any more time and get to work. The community on Patreon has decided for this topic on the lesson wishlist for September. So I think that a lot of us guitar players finally want to work on this topic and to really improve, so it's great that we get to look at it today. In case you want to vote on the next lesson topic so that we work on your own personal biggest frustrations, make sure to join us over at patreon.com/Bernd. Today's exciting exercise is also very musical once again, since we always want to make sure to work in a practical musical context and to also improve our theory skills a bit with every single lesson. So we are working with a really cool cadence for today's exercise and lick. We are playing over the E minor add 9 chord, then we move to the G7 or G dominant 7th chord, and then we're playing over a D sus2 voicing, that would be D major in that case. So we are resolving from G dominant 7th chord to this open sounding voicing for D major. So this is how it sounds like once again. The E minor add 9 chord, G dominant 7th chord, D sus2. So with today's arpeggio focused lick that we are playing over these chords, we are switching between 16th notes and 8th note triplets. So we are playing one measure of only 16th notes for the E minor add 9 chord, then we are switching to 8th note triplets for the G7 chord, and then we are moving back to 16th notes for the D sus2 chord. In a more practical context, we would switch that up a bit, of course, add some rests and some more interesting phrasing ideas, but for today we really want to focus on nailing that transition from 16th notes to 8th note triplets and back to 16th notes. So when you are playing today's practice lick, I really want you to make sure to be in time right after you switch to that next note value. You don't want to sound like you're searching for the right note value and for the right note spacing over the first half of each measure. So your biggest practice goal and focus should be being in time right after you switch from the first group to the next one and to the next and so on. So enough talk, here's the lick we're working on today. As always, you can download the really helpful PDF tabs and guitar profiles on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Bernd. And once again, I made sure to record some really convenient video play-alongs for you that you can practice with in your practice routine. With these helpful video files that I'm adding for pretty much every single lesson that I post on Patreon, you can always practice together with me, and you always get a close look at my left hand and right hand technique, and I'm also adding some scrolling tablature to those files so you can read out the exercise while you're practicing. So let's check out this really cool sounding arpeggio workout together right now. So for the first phrase that we are playing over the E minor voicing, we are playing so it's kind of a combination of scale and arpeggio. We're starting out with the first 3 notes of the E minor scale, E, F sharp and G. But then we move into an arpeggio concept. And this one is really cool because we are spreading out the notes a bit, as you can see. And that sounds a bit more fresh and interesting than working with this E minor shape that we looked at quite often so far. So for this first part of the lick, we're playing 16th notes and I'm working with constant alternate picking, so a constant pattern of downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke. and so on. So we really have to pay attention to switch between the different strings and to play in time. You really want to make sure that every single note is exactly the same, since we are playing a constant stream of 16th notes. Let me play it really slow for you once again. So as you could see, I'm also including the 9th in this voicing, since we're playing over an E minor at 9 chord. And up next, for the lick that we're playing over the G dominant 7th chord, we are thinking in triplets. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, and so on. So we are playing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So for the first half of this lick, I'm still working with alternate picking with down and up strokes to keep that pattern going. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sliding up to F, back down to D, pull off, and then I'm switching to sweep picking. So these two last strokes are both up strokes. Here's the entire phrase for the G dominant chord once again. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. And this is the challenging part, switching from 16th notes to these 8th note triplets correctly. That might not look too challenging compared to the other crazy stuff we looked at on this channel so far, but it's really hard to switch right on the next beat and to think in that mindset of 8th note triplets or back to 16th notes and so on. So that is exactly what we are practicing here. Just a quick reminder before we keep going, still around 60% of you guys and girls watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel, and this is a quite crazy number. That means you're sadly not really a part of this community yet, and you keep missing some very important technique and theory lessons that I'm posting here every single week. So make sure to change that right now if you're not subscribed to the channel, and hit the subscribe button to join us. That way you stay updated for the videos, and we will take your technique and theory skills to the next level together. And now let's check out the last phrase that we are playing over the D sus2 chord in the end, where we're switching back to the 16th notes. We're starting with the root right here on the 10th fret on the low E string, and we're once again working with that alternate picking approach before we're switching to legato techniques and a bit of hybrid picking in the end to keep it interesting. So here's that one for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ending on D right here on the root once again. So a bit slower. So for the first phrase, we're just playing the D major arpeggio. And there's no picking for that part, all slides and hammer-ons or pull-offs. And for the last part, I'm just thinking in a cool symmetrical D major arpeggio, starting with the root D right here, just hammering onto the major second and the major third. Then I'm using my middle finger for A right here, and then one octave higher, once again the root D, major second E and F sharp right here, and then pulling off to D once again. So that one is pretty hard because you don't want any overlapping notes right here. So here's the entire part performed once again before we talk about how to practice this effectively in your next practice routine. So this lick is really challenging when it comes to timing, because aside from switching from 16th notes to the 8th note triplets, we're also working with a lot of different techniques like alternate picking, just a bit of sweep picking, hybrid picking, and also some interesting legato ideas. So I definitely recommend checking out this exact lick to practice that. It's really not about speed. You can start very slow to get a feeling for the timing right here. But of course it's once again very beneficial to get creative right here, to take a short chord progression, 3 chords for example, and to work on your own lick that's working with the system of 1 measure of 16th notes, 1 measure of 8th note triplets, and then right back to 16th notes. And of course you can also turn it around, start with 8th note triplets, go to 16th notes and switch back to 8th note triplets. Or you could just work with different note durations from the rhythm pyramid by yourself, switching from quarter notes to 8th notes to 16th notes and so on, before you incorporate the triplets. So it really depends on your current level and what you want to improve most. For me, switching between 16th notes and 8th note triplets with guitar solos is really tricky, so that's why I chose that one for today's exercise. Please just make sure to work with actual chords and cadences right here in a specific key, for example, and use arpeggios over those chords, because not only does it sound really nice when you're practicing this, you're also adding some music theory context and a practical context to the exercise. I think the coolest thing about this one is that you could actually kind of hear the chords when I was just playing the guitar solo phrase, because I'm including all the important chord notes in my solo. So without hearing the chords and the melodic context that the rest of the band is providing, you can kind of hear the cadence when I'm just playing the arpeggios for you, and that's always really, really cool. If you feel like you have to work on the fundamentals a bit more first before you focus on timing and rhythm when it comes to your guitar solos and improvised takes, I can really recommend checking out the first week of my online course 10 Steps to Modern Shredding. In that one we are slowly developing this very important skill step by switching between different note durations in the rhythm pyramid, but we're only working with the low open E string in the beginning. So you can really focus on nailing that timing and nailing those transitions without worrying too much about your left hand and what you're playing from a music theory context. As always, you can find the link in my description. Feel free to hit me up in case you have any questions before you join the program. So in the end, make sure to subscribe to join this guitar community today and leave a like below this video. That always really helps me out a lot. And a comment in case I can answer any specific questions for you concerning this exercise or anything else guitar related. I really hope you have a lot of fun working on this, and I will see you very soon. All the best and have a lot of fun practicing.